What's going on, guys? It's Ricky with TechBud Solutions. I want to thank you guys again for taking time out of your Sunday to join us for another Sunday Stock Talk. We're going to give it a couple minutes. I just shared the link to the members within our group in the group chat and on the Facebook platform, just to give them a heads up that we're going to be going live right now. So for those that are watching right now, you're most likely just watching it on my YouTube channel. I do want to thank you guys again for tuning in. I want to start off by saying, last week was definitely a really big week for this group. We've continued to grow. Just more than I think a lot of you are realizing. Obviously, we can tell the numerous beginners that are joining our group chat because of all the repetitive questions. So I do want to direct you guys to my YouTube channel for those that are just starting to trade and really just want to learn how to get started. My YouTube channel does have a playlist, and in that playlist it's called Helpful Videos. And for all these series of repetitive questions that you guys might ask, I do want to ask before you guys ask any questions. I'd love to hear about who you are. So feel free to introduce yourself into the group. It's a very welcoming group if you've already had the opportunity to communicate and network with these people. But I do want to make sure that you guys first do yourself justice and first learn. And the best way to learn is through just experience, I think, and we have these series of videos that answer a lot of questions that you guys might have. So I do want to direct you guys to the channel for you guys to take notes, to learn from what we're talking about, learn from our mistakes, learn from our best practices, and then if you continue to have a specific question, then ask it in the group chat. But I want to make sure that you guys are utilizing the resources and the content that we have available for you guys for free. And if you guys continue asking these repetitive questions, a lot of members within the group are just no longer answering them because they've answered them so many times. So it's not that you said anything wrong, but it's I don't think you're actually just taking the extra step and looking into the YouTube channel or looking a couple just what would it be called, just a couple messages above could be an answer that or a question or an answer that would answer your question. So I do want to make sure that you guys are aware of that. And that's really just it. Last week we had a really good week. NUGT finally bounced back from lows of 723 to highs of 815 or 814. TRYS was one of the biggest gainers that we were trading. Hit lows of about 123 and hit highs of about 210, 215. So not the full 100% profit, but really close within just 1 week, and I think that's amazing. It's one that I actually traded the day before, so again, it's just luck of the draw. I ended up selling. I made like $80 or something like that. I sold from 127.5 to 130, and then the following day it jumped from 130 to 140, and then the following day from that went from 150 to 170 to 180, and then from that day it just hit 210 or 220. Not too sure what it did, but we are going to be talking about just a little bit more about last week, what we did good, what we did bad, just so we can learn from all these series of members that can learn from our best practices. And I do want to thank each and every one of you that participated in our group, and it's a lot to ask for from you guys, all the not just attention that you guys give this group, but just the commitment that you guys have for these, the different members, and you want to make sure that they do their best. There's a lot of members that I feel really want to help you guys, and sometimes it might come off on the wrong or just not the right way, and that's something that I'm trying to work with different members that I think can be good moderators or good just kind of like group leaders within this group, and I want to make sure, just because the group is growing so rapidly, that I can accommodate that growth. And I think the best thing is having people that can assist me with this growth, and still continue to provide the best quality content and platform out there for you guys. So I'm gonna now look at the group chat and see how everyone's doing. Looks like everyone's doing pretty good. So this is how today's Sunday Stock Talk is going to work out. So I did start at 5 minutes or 15 minutes earlier. It's going to take about 30 minutes for the whole Sunday Stock Talk. And I just did my little introduction, right? We're going to do a little recap for about 5 more minutes of last week. The second part will be technical analysis that you guys want me to perform, and I'm going to perform one on one specific stock that I want to do, one that I want to talk about, and then the last 10 minutes I'll start answering all your guys' questions. So I hope that works out for you guys. And the best way to reach out to me with those questions would be to actually, once it comes to the time of the last 10 minutes for this live stream, start answering your questions there, because I'm not going to be looking too much right now on the live chat, and I do have a series of questions that I'm going to be looking at on my that I've been taking screenshots of throughout the week that I haven't had the chance to answer. But pretty much last week was an amazing week. DRYS, huge amounts of volume. That was one that was highly spoken about. Snapchat, although the hype isn't all there anymore, just because it didn't move that much last week. And I told you guys about 2 weeks ago, the first week, spiked up from when it was valued at $17, spiked up all the way to $29.44, and then what's expected to happen next week, right? The hype isn't all there anymore, and then from the $29.44 hit lows of like 20, and is now trading between 22 to 23. So it went down a lot, right, in value, and I'm kind of trying to see if it goes below $20, and if it can break 17 and go below 17, which is the actual market value that Snapchat gave itself. So I think this upcoming week is really going to identify the support and the resistance, and that's really what I'm waiting for. So if I want to go long on Snapchat, that I feel secure, because for the swing trading group chat, we're just looking for a good entry point, and I don't think Snapchat has identified its strong support yet. NUGT had a pretty good week. I was trading that multiple days. It was an extremely busy week last week, so my activity when it actually came to trading, as you guys can see based on my recaps, my gains weren't all there. But I feel like the commitment that I gave to the group when it came to the attention and answering questions, I tried to do a little bit of a better job doing that. But again, my whole purpose here being with TechBuds, and the whole reason I created this is so I can help you guys out. But I feel like because this group has grown so quickly, nearly over 5,500 members now worldwide, and it's really hard to trade. And I want to answer all your guys' questions when I'm trading. So I try to dedicate sometimes while I'm trading to focus less on the actual stocks myself and focus more on your guys' questions. So I tend to trade more stocks that I'm more comfortable with, like NUGT, that I kind of know pretty well. Again, I stick to my rules. I set up a game plan. I don't get emotional and stuff like that. But I feel safer because it's one that I've continuously traded. Again, last week from 740 to 780, or from the 750 or 760 to the 793. And although those aren't huge margins of profit, it was enough to bring in a little bit over 100, maybe a little bit over 200. I brought in a couple over 300, and that's great. But obviously I wasn't as aggressive, especially with DRYS. I wanted to make sure that the members within our groups didn't jump into the hype, and I think that's one of the biggest things that I wanted to avoid, because with all this volume that these stocks see, there's a lot of people that are going to be hoping for the best and not setting up a plan, and that's what I wanted to bring to the group last week. And I wanted to make sure that you guys, I tried to just make that kind of our main focus, and making sure that you guys set up a game plan every single time you guys trade. Because if you guys don't, although you guys might have gotten lucky and have succeeded when it comes to trading whatever it is that you did, then I just don't want that to be something that you guys hope for, and always getting lucky, because in the long run you're not going to, right? In the long run, if you want to be successful in any market, you have to have a plan, and you have to really understand the market that you're getting yourself into. So overall, I thought we had an amazing week as a group. You guys were posting, and I do want to encourage this. If you guys feel comfortable posting your profits, feel free to either message it to me and screenshot it. I'll post it on the Facebook platform or on the YouTube, whatever it is that you want me to post it on. But it looks like you guys were doing great job posting your guys's profit for the days, or your guys' ideas or holds or whatever it was, and then you guys had different ideas on how we can promote this and keeping like a leaderboard. There was one of you that reached out to me and really wanted this leaderboard, and I think when developing the platform that we're trying to develop, I think that's definitely something, or a feature that we want to be able to provide for you guys. But the main thing that we're trying to do right now is we want to create like a very unique group chat, and that's our main focus, because that's the main way that we communicate with one another. But I want to make sure that it's a unique and modern, simple group chat that can accommodate the type of just the way that we communicate with one another. So I think we're doing pretty well with the different kind of just ideas that we want in this group chat. But if you guys have any specific questions that you guys want me to talk about last week, I'd be more than happy to. But now I'm going to be asking you guys, and you guys can message me, please, if you can, try to make them all come out in the live chat. And that is just strictly through the what's it called, YouTube chat, not group me or anything like that, just because I don't want to be jumping between different group chats and stuff like that. So it looks like a couple of you are understanding. It doesn't look like there's many messages in the group chat right now. So let's just try to keep all the messages right now on the YouTube chat, and then I'll start answering them. So I want to see one by person stock that you guys want me to do an analysis on and why. And then I'll pick the most common one. So go. Alrighty, so we have, all right, well, AMD seems to be one that's very common. Wow, that's so cool that you guys are all doing that. DRYS. All right, and his YouTube name is AB. He asked me that I talked about my worst loss and that you guys liked that video. It did pretty well. It didn't do like crazy, but it says, can I talk about my biggest gain? So let me know what you guys think about that, if I should talk about my biggest profit. So we're going to do AMD, DRYS, and we're going to do, why am I in the dark? I left my light downstairs and I didn't bring my light. I apologize. All right, I'm just going to do it. It's going to be CAPB. So DRYS, AMD, and CAPB. I'm going to be talking about, I won't talk about the one. I'll talk about the one that I wanted. And the one that I wanted to talk about was, it was actually DRYS, so I guess I'll pick another one. I'll do PIP. All right, let's just keep it at that, just so we stay on track. All right, so I'm gonna do my technical analysis on DRYS and AMD and CATD. So on my chart for fidelity, so PIP. I actually had IPI, so that's pretty funny. Copy. Okay. All right, so I'm going to start sharing my screen so you guys can see kind of what I'm doing. And again, I want you guys to focus on how I identify, the support, the resistance, kind of my whole thought process. So when it comes to you identifying potential, that you guys can set up a game plan on where to buy, where to sell, where to cut your losses based on, based on what you learn from me, and adjust it to the type of trader you are. So let me go ahead and start sharing my screen, and then we should be good. All right, so we'll start off with CAPB, and when it starts with pretty much, actually I did have someone send this one to me, and I actually think it was Junior. So huge shout out to him. So CAPB had a strong support, as you guys can tell, like a solid bounce. Anything above like 320, right? So it held pretty well above 320, came back down, held pretty well, had a resistance at around, $5, held pretty well above there, and then came back down. Went above, hit highs of $6, came back down. So it built a support here at that, $3.20, came back down, built another support at $3.20. So that's a strong support, right? And a resistance, it really struggled to hold above $5. So now we can identify that as a good resistance point. Now it had a huge drop. It went from, the $3 and broke right through it. Now it has a support at about $1. And this is actually a really good one that I wanted to talk about because it's a kind of trend that has been very popular. So I had an amazing day, closing on Friday, nearly saw a little bit over 50% profit. And although it had a huge drop, when it has a huge drop and it has no real support after that, these are called gappers. And these gappers usually sometimes take time to fill up the gap. And all of a sudden, let me just get a little bit closer so I don't so I can make it kind of easy for you guys to understand. So these gappers, once they fall, wow, let's see. Okay, so once it falls below that $3 mark, it built a support, and it's built that support around $1, right? And there wasn't much movement to bring it all the way back to this $3 mark. So there's this gap of support and resistance, meaning that on the way up, where are we going to identify the resistance? Well, there really isn't any. And because of that, if it breaks above this resistance that it currently has around that 150, 140 range, once it breaks above like it did a couple days ago, then that's what causes this huge increase in volume, just because it has this huge gap to fill. So it has it almost just skyrockets, and it went from the $1.50 to highs of almost $3, and it did this within a period of, I believe, 10 days, or let's see how many. No, it really did it all within one day. So this is March 10th, and during pre-market hours, it looks like it broke above that resistance around that 140, and it did pretty well. And then as soon as the market opened, it went from that 180 all the way up to the 270 mark. So now what's next for CAPB? It looks like it built that support. So where's that current support? It looks like there's a pretty strong support around 190. It was a resistance during pre-market, wasn't able to break above it, didn't break above it on its first try, came back down. As you see, the candlesticks really built up in that small area, and then it broke right through it, right? Once it broke right through it, it built a new support. So like we know, old resistance become new supports. It broke and held above the 192, and then again, huge spikes of volume that caused it to break above the $2 mark and go to nearly highs of almost $3. Comes back down. So now you can identify this as the resistance at around, let's say, 270, right? And then it comes back down. Now you can use these different indicators, like we know the EMA and the SMA, to indicate that upward momentum. We identified this old support at 192 as an old support. So as it starts coming back down, now you have to create a game plan. Where am I going to get in? Well, I want to make sure that I get in as it's going up. So it's most likely going to start picking up and hold above 192. So what you can do is you can wait for the bounce, just like it did here. And once it starts this line showing signs of upward momentum, you can choose to buy in, and then you can choose to sell according to these previous, supports and resistance levels, like it has at $2, at $2.25. And simply with that margin, of 25 cents, you've made over 10%. So I think that's a really sweet thing about this, that being able to identify, although you might have not caught it at that huge spike, at least you can catch it and create a whole plan. So if you couldn't catch it during the morning hours, then you wait for it to come back down to set its support like it did around 192, and then it starts picking up. You use your different indicators, right, to try to identify where the support's going to be, where is it going to bounce, and you want to make sure that the indicator is showing signs of upward momentum. So right around this point is really where it started to show more of a bounce. There's a new indicator that I'm going to try to use, and it's RSI, and it's by one of our traders that actually recommended me to use this type of indicator. And huge shout out to him for just introducing me to this new type of indicator. And pretty much what it does is it tells you kind of like when it's overvalued and undervalued. So it tends to bounce at this undervalue, and it tends to bounce down or fall down, hit a resistance right at this certain overvalue. So during this point, when it you identify based on your technical analysis the support at 192, so you put your little line there, right? Then okay, I'm in a sense predicting a bounce at 192. Now you use your indicator of EMA to identify if the bounce is actually happening. So okay, the indicator is showing that it's actually picking up, so then I buy in. And then now that I bought in, if you look at this line right here, now it's actually showing you signs that it might be overvalued. So once it gets to a certain point, you end up selling, drops back down, and it actually did just that. So right when it hit that overvalued point, came back down and then came back up again, hit that overvalued point and then just dropped all the way down. So when it comes to this, it can give you a better understanding, if the point that you're getting in is at the high point or low point of a stock, if it's overvalued and undervalued, because you want to make sure that you catch it more at this lower point than at the higher point. And being able to identify these supports and resistance levels and using these indicators are just going to make it that much easier for you to set up a plan and to trust in yourself as an investor that this is a good buy. So I do want to say for CAPI, pretty much what I'm expecting for this upcoming week, if it holds above 192, is it definitely has signs of upward momentum. It has if it pops above this 270 resistance, the next resistance based on the history, it's going to be around $3. But if it breaks below this 192 support, then we're most likely going to see a drop and continue it, bleeding back down to that $1 mark. So I want to make sure that you guys have a good game plan. Make sure you do your own analysis, and it really depends on how the market opens. But hopefully we can see a good hold and a good support around the 192 for CAPI. DRYS, again, this one was definitely one that was with crazy volume last week. And again, we were talking about when this one was at 123, 130, when I was trading it earlier this week and then hitting highs, at this point, and then hitting highs of 210. So obviously it built its resistance at around that 210. And like we've said with DRS, the biggest thing is that it does have random spikes, but it doesn't hold very well with these spikes. So now that it's built all this volume all the way up, most likely we're going to see a downward trend. It doesn't mean that it's not profitable anymore. It just means that it's going to be a little bit riskier because you're going to have to catch it at these bounces, and you're risking not catching it at the bounce, and all of a sudden if it takes a dip because it's so volatile that you might actually a bit lower than expected. So again, always make sure you have your stop loss set with DRYS and stick to your plan. So like we can see right now is that there's a support right here at this 170. It used to be an old resistance, now it's a new support. So it held above that 170 mark, and depending on how the market opens this upcoming week, you can set up a plan. If it comes back near this 170, you can buy in. If you see this EMA showing signs of upward momentum, you choose to buy in. I would set a stop loss anything below the 170, right? Because if it goes below the support, then we're most likely going to see a downward trend all the way down to the 130. But if it starts picking up, just to be safe, you can follow with the trailing stop loss. There's nothing wrong with that. And as it continues to rise, you can follow with every 5 cents that it rises, you follow with your stop loss to lock in your profits. And remember that you can identify these, old supports and old resistance levels as different levels, and make sure that you're aware of these, just different resistance points that is hit, based on its history, that now because it's in a sense identified these resistance points, as it starts to rise back up, you can in a sense get in the low points, sell at the high points. If it drops back down, get at the low points, sell at the high points. It breaks above 190, then this is a new support, so you buy in at the low points, sell at the high points, and set up a plan with every single level. Have your stop loss set, follow with the trailing stop loss, know where your support and resistance is. When it breaks below that support, then now that's your new resistance. This is now your new support. So getting in the trend of being able to identify these trends very quickly is really what I think is going to lead you to success with DRYS. If you're a new trader and just jumping into penny stocks, and just because it's been one that has been spoken about so often, I don't think you should jump into DRS because of how volatile it is. If you really don't know the whole mechanics of trading, just because of how risky it is, I would hate for this one to be one that discourages you because of how crazy the volume can be within DRYS, that leads you to, overall just identify or just take in consideration that penny stocks are going to be like this all the time, because they're not. This is one that's, definitely very volatile. I think an easier one to start off with would be one that has a higher dollar value and that might not see as much volume as this one, so it could be easier for you to identify the support and the resistance. But that's my pretty much analysis when it comes to DRYS. And then our last one's going to be PIP. Alrighty, so this one's also a gapper, as you can see there, but this gap that it's built, so when it had this huge drop, as you can see, it had an old support at that point. So in a sense, it fell right below the support, making it a new resistance, and it's built a new support, meaning that, you know, I had this huge drop, identified its support, identified its resistance. That's kind of what I'm trying to identify with Snapchat. And then, you know, staircase all the way down. When it held a little bit above, you know, this support, and then is now showing upward momentum. So with this, we can use this indicator of EMA and try to see if we can identify, you know, this upward trend. Once these candlesticks start to, you know, cross this EMA line and show signs of upward momentum, I think that's when we're really going to see the upward trend all the way back up, hopefully to that $3 mark. But with right now, with what we're currently seeing, because of how high it is, the resistance that we're gonna, you know, experience at $1 might be too strong. So for those that aren't too familiar with PIP, I think you might want to get a little bit more comfortable with it. As you can see, that it ends up hitting nearly $1, comes back down, hits nearly $1, comes back down. But the point that we're at right now with PIP is not a bad point. It seems to be a pretty strong, you know, support. It tends to bounce, you know, pretty well around this area. And it's all about setting up a game plan. If you identify the potential and you identify the support, you identify the resistance, you know, being around this point, right? When it has good volume, it does pretty well, right? You can easily identify that. You know, the bounces here at 83 cents, resistance here at 93 cents. That's 10 cents. That's, you know, over 10% potential. So it's all about identifying that potential, setting up a game plan, and how you're going to execute. I think that's truly what's going to lead to your success. Do I think PIP has potential? I definitely see, you know, as long as it continues to hold above 83 cents, that potential bounce and resistance around 93 cents. In the long run, do I see it going back? You know, possibly, because it could definitely fill in that gap. Do I think it can go back down? Yes, if it breaks below that 83, you know, support, you're going to get all these buyers that ended up buying and were able to identify the support, you know, at the 83, 86, and are going to start selling, and you're going to see just a huge downward trend nearly to that, you know, 75, whatever the, you know, other support's going to be as it continues to drop back down. And that support would most likely be right here, as it's, you know, an old resistance level is now a new support. So it's, again, setting up a game plan, do your analysis, and, you know, where you're buying, where you're selling, where you're going to cut your losses, and if it's realistic. You know, has it done it before? Is it possible? You know, does it have that 10% potential? My risk, you know, 1 to 2%. You know, that type of way that you can, in a sense, identify, you know, identify the risk, or managing a risk, is really what, you know, can help you feel more comfortable when executing these trades. But that's going to be it for this specific stock. I believe I do have one more to analyze, and that's going to be AMD, right? If I'm not mistaken. Alrighty, there we go. So with this one, on a 1 month analysis, it kind of looks like, well, I think we're kind of too late with AMD. Based on this simple analysis, it had an old support right around this like 1250 area, came back down, kind of created this cup form, right, cup trend, and is now showing signs of open momentum. It looks like a beautiful graph, right? But now we're getting a little bit closer to that resistance level. And when identifying that 10% potential, you know, from this 1470 to this, you know, 1550, that's not 10% potential. So I don't know if your margin of, you know, risk or managing risk, if you can identify this to be worth it to try to ride it up and squeeze it from 1470 to 1550, based on, you know, kind of how it's played out, having a really strong resistance at that point. And we're most likely going to see it hit, you know, $15, and then going to see a downward trend, and hopefully repeat this trend of the bounce from 1250 to 1470. So those that were able to identify this support before, then, you know, great for you. But again, you could set your alerts. You know, if it does break above that $15 mark, then that's definitely not bad either. It looks like in the long run, it's been showing signs of upward momentum. So if we can identify that it breaks above, you know, 1552 or 1555, then in the long run, I really do think that it can break and continue to rise above 1552. But I just think the risk as of now to get into AMD is not really worth it for me right now. I think I'd rather wait and see if it does break above 555, and then I can set up a plan, because I would see more potential at that point. All right. Wow, it got really dark. I'm going to see how can I do this? Give me one quick second. I'm gonna put my light and see if this works at all. This is not the light I use like ever, but again, hopefully this does, or this can get the job done. So it looks like you guys are having a pretty good conversation within the live chat, and doing pretty well. So if you guys have any specific questions, I'll start answering them right now. And we got Lift Burr in our group chat. He's one that's part of TechBuds, and I love his unique username, because I think his username on group chat is like Lift Beer, and he has like a little thumbnail or cover picture of a beer, so that's pretty funny. But he's definitely one that's done pretty well within our group, so I do want to thank you for participating so well. What good and bad about it? Get to the chat. Okay, so it looks like you guys are kind of agreeing with me with what I've said with AMD and with different stocks. So I'm gonna start answering questions. So if you guys have any specific questions, please feel free to ask me. There are questions that I screenshotted throughout the week, and I'm gonna start to try. I'm gonna try to answer them. There's so many that it's more of you guys asking me to do videos of specific things. Let's see. Yeah, it seems to be more of like a video suggestions. And you guys were asking me to do like technical analysis on certain stocks. So that's something that I could really answer on these live streams. I'm going to go back to the live stream chat and see if I can answer any good questions there. It looks like we have about a couple more minutes. Oh, wow. You guys asked a lot of questions. Raul Sanchez says, hey, Ricky, do you use VWAP? I do not. Anyone taking, dude, you should make a video. Yeah, so Junior asked me that I should make a video about my biggest gain, so that's one that I can take into consideration. One of the questions is how much tax do I have to pay per year? That's a video that I've been thinking of making for you guys, just to give you guys a better understanding on how to file your taxes when it comes to trading for your gains. So some Graham Hart says AMD will most likely hit its resistance, but will go through it soon. So, I'm open to whatever you guys think. I'm not, my word isn't final. I was just giving my own 2 cents. So you guys let me know what you guys think. So Joshua Schmidt asks, who was your stock trading mentors in the beginning of your journey? I actually didn't have any. It was, all self-taught through trial and error. And I think that's the biggest thing, where I made so many mistakes that I kind of just took a step back and I learned from my mistakes. Actually, I think the best way to succeed is to act, and I talk about it so much, but it's like having a plan, right? Because when you don't and you kind of just hope for the best, you're like, oh, I'm gonna make money here, make money here. It's like when you go to work and you have a job or you go to school, and the reason you're successful or you accomplish things is because there's some sort of structure. So I think having this sort of structure when it comes to day trading, that's really what's gonna like set you apart from 90% of the people that lose money when it comes to trading. And that's why I try to emphasize that so much when it comes to this group, because I don't want it to be something that's manipulative. I don't want you guys to jump on a stock because someone tells you to, but I want to make sure that you guys are educated enough to identify that potential, and then educated enough and experienced enough to set up a plan when it comes to investing. You guys saving enough money, your $1,000, your $5,000, your $10,000, that's all realistic, right? We're all in different positions in our life, but that's all realistic in the long run, right? Some might have to save for a year, 2 years, 3 years to save $1,000, but it can't be done. It can, right? And once you do, the experience that you gain just by continuously learning as much as you can and learning from best practices, sharing mistakes, and learning from those mistakes, I think will really set you apart from these people, because you understand what it takes to trade. You understand other people's experience. you know what it is that you need to do to be successful when it comes to trading, because 90% or a majority of the people don't do it. So I think setting up the plan, knowing how to buy, and actually going by it and not getting emotional and all that stuff, then that's what will really lead to your success. And that's what I want to emphasize so much with this platform. It's not about what I'm trading or anything like that. I want to, you know, completely remove that from the platform. I want you guys to tell me what it is that you guys are trading and why. So with that, now you guys are in a sense kind of running, you know, TechBud Solutions, because you guys are experienced, you guys know how to identify potential, and you guys don't have to depend on me or depend on any individual to tell you what to trade, because you're the only one that's going to work as hard to make the most money, because it's your money, right? And I want to make sure that you guys understand that. And yeah, that's really just it. Can I talk about the so this is by Monty B. Says, can I talk about the new indicator that you mentioned in my first talk? I can actually make a video if you guys want, specifically for RSI. And if you guys know of any indicators that you have used that have been very useful, let me know. And you know, I love to, if you guys want to FaceTime or live stream together and want to talk about it together, I'll post it on my YouTube channel. I don't care. Again, the whole point of this group is to share best practices and to expose entrepreneurs and investors about new opportunity. And I think if I'm the channel that you guys can go through to get your ideas out there, then so be it. I'm definitely here to help you guys any way I can. But RSI is pretty much, it identifies kind of like the support and the resistance, more on the value price of whatever the stock is, and it tells you kind of when it's overvalued, so that's a good sell point, and undervalued, so that's a good buy point. So that's pretty much an easy breakdown. I can elaborate a little bit more if you guys want me to make a video. Just let me know. How do you identify a pump and dump before the dump? I think the best way to identify a pump and dump is when you're buying in because everyone else is buying in and you don't know why it's going up. I think that's the best way to identify a pump and dump, because you shouldn't be. There's a difference from momentum trading and a pump and dump. Although they're very close because of the huge increase in volume, pump and dumps are a little bit more manipulative, and it can be due to a single individual or a single corporation that is the reason behind this huge rise. When a company owns, or an individual owns, so much of the market cap of a stock, let's say the market cap is $100,000, and someone owns 50% of it. When people are trying to buy the stock, you own majority of it, so you kind of control the demand. So you can say, oh, I bought it for $1, I'll sell it to you for $110. Okay, now people are buying at $110. Oh, okay, now I'll sell at $120, and you kind of manipulate the price to continue going up. So by the time it gets all the way up, now you sold all your shares at highs of $2. Everyone owns it at $2. That demand isn't there because now they're just selling to one another, and then it spikes all the way back down. So that's why I want you guys to stay away from that, and more set up a game plan. Be a little bit more calm, and then when you guys get experienced enough, jump into these momentum stocks. But I think when it comes to momentum trading, you definitely have to have a little bit more experience on your hands. Is it too? All right. So biggest game plan is how do I let it play out when you decide to sell? I don't screen stocks. That's something I talked about last week. I've never screened stocks. It's more performing my technical analysis, and during pre-market as well. DeAndre Madison says, why don't I talk about real estate anymore? Because kind of my market has been so dry with real estate since I bought my 2 investment properties. We're buying the 3rd one, and then I just didn't see the value anymore in the market that I'm in right now. Right, the value proposition in the long run. The only reason I'm going to buy a house is if I find it to be a good deal, and I haven't found that good deal yet. So that's why I haven't bought and kind of touch base on the real estate market too much. But I met up with an individual that wants to talk a little bit more about real estate and is really into it. So I think we might start making a little bit more videos when it comes to real estate, and let me know if that's something that you guys, would be interested in. We already started with the mobile investments, which is buying and selling cars. Someone was telling me that they thought it was about apps and stuff like that. I don't know anything about apps, but with buying and selling cars, we just started that subgroup within TechBuds. Now we're going to most likely create a subgroup for real estate, but only if you guys are interested in. So just let me know. Are there any signs prior to a stock being delisted? There's usually a notice 30 days before that they received a notice for possible delisting and stuff like that. Every stock has to receive like a 30-day notice before actually getting delisted from like NASDAQ or anything like that. So you guys actually asked me to make a video on that. There's just so many requests that I've been receiving that I haven't had the time to make that. But I definitely will be getting to most of, or if not all your questions, since I take screenshots and then just make a video on what you guys are asking me. But just give me a couple days for that. Yeah, how long did it take you to start profiting consistently? Yeah, that's a really good question. So it says, Waco Street says, Ricky, how long did it take you to start profiting consistently? It took a really long time. There's times that I thought I really had it, and then I get very kind of just like into it, and I get emotional, and then I lose it all, right? Not lose it all, but I get very just inconsistent when it comes to my trades. And I think focusing less on the actual money, but focusing more that I'm getting in at a good buy point, and just not being greedy and selling at a good sell point. Although I don't bring in the most profit, all the time within this group, I think consistently I bring in a steady amount of profit, that my losses are very small, my profits are, more than enough, that I consistently see a good stream of income because of my consistency. So it took, years. I don't think till, and there's still moments, as of now, I'm not a perfect trader. There's moments that I do still get emotional, and, I'm trying to develop myself as the best trader I can, and exposing myself to new opportunity and new potential because of you guys and because of this group has really, I think, been a huge part of why I've developed so quickly, is because of all your guys' help. Not just because I've been trying to help you guys, but you guys have helped me grow a lot as well from your mistakes and your best practices. And I think that's a thing that I might not touch base on a lot, but the reason I am so experienced and so developed now has to do a lot because of you guys. People develop very quickly, and it's all about being open-minded and learning from just being open to learning from mistakes and learning from other people. And I think that's really what's helped me. I think it took because I was off and on. I said I started at 14, but I was off and on for like 5 years. And then that's when I really started to set up a plan and stuff like that. And that's when I started seeing the change of more consistent green trades than red trades and stuff like that. I always cut my losses short after I saw that huge loss. So yeah, it took 5 years, I guess. Oh man, holy moly. There's so many questions, and I'm sorry, I just don't think I can get to all of them because of the time and we're running out. So I really do apologize. So I always get this question. It asks, what are my thoughts on Tim Sykes? I'm not here to, again, like I've said multiple times, to subjugate anyone. I'm here to, with my platform, to try to provide what I think is the best quality platform for new and experienced investors. I think his own way and can do whatever you want, right? And that's it. I'm not here. I don't think I've ever made a video or talked about or subjugated anyone because of what they've done or because they're not just like as much as other people. I think it really comes down to the investor and who you see yourself to be more like, and someone that you learn from the most. I think that's where you can decide. If you guys don't like my more, what I've learned is kind of like my approach is a little bit easier to understand, and it's slower pace, it's simple and stuff like that. And a lot of you guys like that. Some don't like that. Some like a little bit more. Like Tim is a little bit more just. There's a lot of hype behind it. That he's very. Just he has a lot of energy, which is a beautiful thing, and that's kind of what works for him, and kind of like how he shows that he's done well and stuff like that. That's, although I do show that I've done well for myself at the age that I'm at, I believe flaunt it the way that other entrepreneurs do or investors do, just because that's not the type of life I don't want to promote, like a get rich quick scheme, because I've been doing this for a while. That it's not, you're not gonna get rich quick, and that's what I try to make sure you guys understand, because I don't want to promote false hopes. I want to provide a clear and simple platform that you guys can learn from and develop, and develop yourself as a successful trader, and then use those skills to invest not only in the stock market, but use the concept of investing and use it to any specific market that you want as an entrepreneur. So that's my answer. Ricky, could you send me $50, please? I'm sorry, man. You guys, Travares talked to me, or is writing about that he's never heard me talk about short selling. The reason I don't talk about it is because I don't short sell. So I think if I can identify or meet up with someone that's a short seller, and if you guys want to learn about that, I'll definitely do that. I'll reach out to some people that are pretty successful when it comes to short selling. But why would me, someone that is not successful in short selling, because I don't do it, why would I talk about it? I can talk about it and kind of talk about what it is if you guys don't know what it is. But I don't want to say, this is how you do it, this is how you do it successful, because I have no experience, no real experience from short selling, since I don't do it actively. Ricky, do you think we should use short trader? This is Anthony, to beat the pattern day trader rule. There's so many different brokerage companies. It's up to you on what you guys want to use. Robinhood has been updating like their, in a sense, terms and conditions so quickly and so rapidly because of how fast they're growing. So I think there's going to be a lot more restrictions that are going to continue to come with Robinhood. So I think because of these lower commissions, and it's all part of like kind of just a trend. So they lower their commissions, and then a bunch of people join, and then they increase them again. So I think right now the commissions being $4.95 for those that can make that transition to like Fidelity and all those other brokerage companies that do charge small commissions. Do them. They do have better tools to use than Robinhood. But if you guys can't, right? If you guys can't, then simulation trading and Robinhood can definitely be something that you guys can continue to use. Junior says, bro, you're killing the game. You're blessed to have free live chat and other things. Thank you again, man. I appreciate the support. That's really cool. I really do appreciate it. All right, guys. It looks like you guys are now having your own conversation within the group chat, and I think that's a great thing. But it is now 7:32, and I am going to take off. If you guys have any questions, you guys know how to reach out to me. I hope you guys enjoyed kind of this recap. And again, just because I'm leaving doesn't mean that you guys have to. If you guys are still, pumped, and I'm super excited for this upcoming week. I know there's a lot of people that like, oh man, I hate Mondays and stuff like that. I'm so excited for Mondays and for this like week to start. First of all, because I stopped working at my normal job, since I work kind of like the weekends on my normal job, and then I focus more on trading and school throughout the week, which is something that I'm really passionate about. So I love, you guys are my coworkers in a sense, because I work with all of you, and it's so exciting. I love the hardest thing is waking up in the morning, especially with this daylight savings change that's going to happen. But I love surrounding myself with you guys. You guys motivate me so much, and I feel like the motivation that I kind of put on you guys, I really do see, in a sense, just kind of a return because of all the messages you guys send me and just your success rate, right? And I think that's the beautiful thing. And I want to continue growing that and being able to share that with as many people as I can, but at a quality standpoint, right? I want to make sure that it doesn't become diluted as we continue to grow. And I know that's something that some of you have been experiencing. So we're trying to, accommodate this growth. But I do want to, ask you guys if you guys can be patient and help out any way that you guys can. Giving your own input. I want to make sure that you guys aren't just waiting for me to answer. You guys can ask this question to anybody, and tag me if you guys within this group chat if you guys want to join. So the way you join these group chat and Technical Solutions, again, it's all free. The link is provided for you down below. You asked to join the Facebook platform, and I'm going to share my screen on how to join the group chats, because you guys, some of you have trouble joining. So once you join Technical Solutions, this is what you'll have access to, and you actually go to the top pinned post. And the top pinned post right now, it shows right here, it says the main chat room, swing trading, pre-market movers, and you can click see more, and it shows you all the different chat rooms that we have available. You click on them and you ask to join. It's through the GroupMe application, and within that GroupMe, you you download the app and then you communicate and you network with us. For those that want to get started, we do have the uploads right here, and then these are the helpful videos that I'm talking about that I want you guys to watch, because they break down and go into detail about the series of questions that are very repetitive within or the frequently asked questions within our group. So that is it, guys. If you guys can, we'd love for you guys to subscribe if you guys want to. If you guys can give this video a thumbs up, we'd greatly appreciate it. Any way that you guys can support us, right, with liking and subscribing, just gives me a better understanding that the stuff that I'm kind of putting out there is appreciated and is something that people are liking. So I can't thank you guys enough for everything that you guys have do with TechButt Solutions, but I do want to wish you and your families an amazing weekend, and I hope you guys had an amazing weekend. And let's make sure that we continue doing what we do best, and that's making money. So hopefully we can start this week on a green note and continue hitting our goals. Hope you guys have an amazing week. Take care and happy Sunday.